What is going on, Lunatic Fringe? We got a radical dip in the market. We've got chaos everywhere. We've had a dip way below where I said I gave you 4037 as a low. It went down below that. Like, this has been absolutely crazy. Now, it has recovered quite a bit. I'm going to take you through exactly what happened. Make sure you hit the like button on the way in. First up, this happened on Friday. Donald Trump started to talk about China taking extraordinarily aggressive position on trade, sending an extremely hostile letter to the world stating that they were going to, effective November 1st, impose large-scale export controls on virtually every product they make. So with that, a couple hours after that, you saw an immense sell-off. Now, what triggered that was Donald Trump making an announcement that he would be adding a 100% tariff on China. Now, if you notice right here, he's already talking about that. A couple hours afterwards, he actually makes it official towards the end of the day. And that led to... Now, I brought up the retard because this guy's retarded, okay? So, Binance manipulation, $20 billion justice. The world was a witness. Reckoning is coming. This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. And of course, it came from the dumbest person I've ever watched do any kind of YouTube content. Boycott Binance and Wintermute until they return every single cent back to their users who were unfairly treated. Now, this is the kind of dumb stuff that uninformed idiots do. This guy's been telling you that if that XRPs go into $1,000. Matter of fact, for years, he grifted each and every one of you guys with his BS about how, look, he was making content on other places until his buddy Jose decided to bring him in. That was Classy Crypto, decided to bring him in, say, get into crypto, bro. You can make a lot of money and stuff like that. So then he decided he's going to start grifting people in crypto. And listen, he's good at it. He's an entertaining sort of person. He doesn't know shit, but he's entertaining. And he lies to you directly. Now, how do I know he lies to you? How I know is because they track the wallets. We know Wintermute's wallets, okay? And here's what happened. Wintermute moved millions in stable coins to Binance, okay? This is right before they started dumping. What they did is they put millions upon millions in hot wallets for Wintermute, okay? Now, what did they then do? They then sold off dramatically in this market everything, okay? This right here. Guess who deposited $705 million to Binance right before the nuke? Now, what they also did, and it was tracked, by the way, they sold all of their holdings, causing a capitulation event, the likes of which we've never seen in cryptocurrency. That then led to dips. To give you an example, SWI, which was trading at or near around $3.70, went down to 56 cents. XRP went down to about $1.40. Everything absolutely crashed and bottomed out, and it was Wintermute selling everything. And then what did they do? They ended up buying everything back. So now let's rewind. What exactly happened? Well, first, Donald Trump made a statement saying that he was going to charge tariffs. Wintermute then used it in order to wreck the entire crypto market so that they could take an enormous profit. But before they took the enormous profit, they moved $700 million into Binance so that they could then buy the dip and buy this back and make this money all over again. Okay? Now, Dum McDingleberry then says, important message to all major exchanges. If your market maker is Binance/Wintermute, they're different companies, by the way. You can't be that stupid, or maybe you can be. I shouldn't judge the amount of stupidity that one person could have. It should be fair for me to say you could be as dumb as it looks, but this is your chance to overthrow their monopoly, which only serves them at the cost of your business and customer base. This guy's been leverage trading, okay? This is called crying. This is, and by the way, I got wrecked. A lot of us got wrecked on our leverage positions. The only thing that I have left is a Bitcoin long and a Link long because everything else got absolutely liquidated, got triggered, then liquidated on this entire dump. But I'm not crying like a little bitch, am I? Like, come on. All I'm saying is make like a peanut tree and grow nuts. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, old Recky McReckerton got wrecked, lost a bunch of money. Now he's crying about Binance and Wintermute as if they're the same thing. They're not. In fact, It's been tracked multiple times. Wintermute, Binance, all of their wallets are known. They are not in cahoots. Binance didn't move, didn't sell, didn't do anything. They only made available what people wanted to trade. And by the way, the reason that this all came about, what this dumb doesn't understand, is that when Coinbase couldn't handle the trades, because Coinbase, as we all know, is a rotten piece of shit scam organization. Oh, by the way, they scam me, so that's why I say that. Well, this dumb doesn't understand. Coinbase was the one who ceased trading, which meant that everybody who wanted to sell had to move to Binance because they couldn't do it on Coinbase, because Coinbase is a bullshit low rent organization that can't handle traffic. Pretty simple. Pretty simple. But this dingbat doesn't even know that. It's unbelievable. Like this, and by the way, you guys are following this idiot. You guys. This is, God damn it. I can't. You do you, boo-boo. Now, with all of that out of the way, let's talk about another dumb. But we're not going to talk about this dumb over here. We're going to talk about this dumb up here. Actually, we're not going to talk about him because this guy, this is one of the worst grifters that you've ever seen in cryptocurrency. Crypto Rover, in the same day, will post, Bitcoin's going to 150,000, Bitcoin's going to 85,000. He just plays both of you. He just plays everybody just so you pay attention to him. That's me being jealous. I wish I could lie to you guys. I wish that it were easy for me to just fucking lie to you. You know what I mean? Like these fucking dirtbags here. I mean, it would make my life so much easier. Just so you guys understand, I don't follow this fucking loser. You know what I mean? Like it's just absolutely insane. Anyway, don't worry about China. It will all be fine. This is coming from Donald Trump. Highly respected President Xi just had a bad moment. He doesn't want depression for his country, and neither do I. The USA wants to help China, not hurt it, President DJT. Now, Donald Trump did say on November 1st, the tariff of 100%, if they don't make a deal, that tariff is still on. So now you've created a dump, you've created chaos in the market, and now how do we claw it back? Well, bitch, chill out. I'm about to tell you how. But before we unpack that, make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Become a member if you want. It's $4.99 a month, and it certainly helps me out. TerraCasino.io for all your risk-based gaming needs. And Terraport.finance. Of course, Terraport was on a monster rip just in the last little while, going absolutely bananas and still trading at a penny, while Luna Classic absolutely dipped and bottomed out. We'll get to the price in just a moment. For the DEXs, 24,000 from Terraport, meaning that they are still in charge. Terrapump.fun, no trade volume yesterday. What are you assholes doing? Like, make some meme coins. Like, ugh. You know what I mean? Ugh. And what did our Validonkeys do? Well, we're getting back up in total stake, which means that people are still, people had moved out for a little bit, and we had a little bit of a dip, but now it's starting to recover. We want to get back over $1 trillion in stake. As you look around, you don't really see a whole lot of movement here, other than a lot of people giving a little bit of credit to Greenpeace. And by the way, I've said some things about Greenpeace for a while, because I'm told by third parties that I'm not supposed to like him, but I don't know him, so I don't know whether he's good, bad, or indifferent. I don't like the way that he votes. I think that what he's been doing is disgusting and irresponsible, and I don't have any respect for people who do this kind of shit right here. I think USTD was just unbelievable, and doesn't want to raise validator performance standards. He wants you he wants you to allow him to continue to be an idiot and don't hold people accountable for what they do. And then the automatic failover for long-term inactive validators. They want to be able to grift you and steal your money and then cash out on you every single month without putting in anything like that. And I don't respect any of that, okay? Now, at the same point, they're still doing the upgrades. So, 50 cents one, $0.50 in the other, they're still doing the upgrade, so they're still voting for that. Now, the next proposal that's up is spending proposal for phase 2 of Orbit Lab removal of forked modules from Terra Classic WASM unforking. And by the way, this unforking thing is going to make us a little more streamlined, a little more efficient, and it's going to get us back in, I think, if I understood this right, and don't quote me here, but I think this is going to get us back into the quote-unquote good graces of the Cosmos ecosystem, because as you know, despite the fact that we are part of Cosmos, there's not a whole lot of friction going back and forth or ease of use going back and forth, and a lot of that has to do with the forks that were established over the years, and with those being pulled out and cleaned up, I think it puts us more in line. And I think that that's better for the long term because Cosmos investors can now easily get into Terra Luna Classic. But again, don't hold me to that right now. I just think I was listening to it and having that conversation, and I think that it was important. So I'm kind of repeating it to you, but I could be a little bit wrong about that. But I don't think I am. Okay, so now let's talk about the price. This is what happened. Now, I told you guys in my estimation that the low number that we're looking at was going to be this right here, that we were going to look at this number right here, which is 4 zeros 35. Okay, we went all the way down to 4 zeros 15. Okay, that is an absolute insane dump. I mean, look at that candle. That candle went all the way down. Now, to be very, very clear, what that means is Wintermute is holding Terra Luna Classic, or was holding Terra Luna Classic. Now, what also we're going to point out here is not only when this happened did it immediately get way bought back and started to pump back up to where it was before. And by the way, it's going to take a moment for it to get back to where we were just a couple of short days ago, because this was the biggest move and rocked the industry. Okay, this rocked the industry. However, what I want to point out here is that if for a move like this to happen, we didn't buy this. Wintermute bought this. Wintermute went back in with their money. You know, maybe it was 3 million, maybe it was 5 million, maybe it was 10 million. Whatever the number was, they sold everything at a moment's notice. And then once they sold, they bought the dip because everybody else was like, I'm not getting stuck holding the bag. And everything started to dip when everything dipped down a little bit more. And most likely, just to give you guys some clarity here, most likely Wintermute probably sold down to about this price right here at about 35 or 37. Again, you know, that was the bottom right there. So naturally speaking, the bottom of the market right there, Wintermute dumps. Then everybody's like, oh no, I'm not getting left behind. And then Wintermute reverses the transaction and starts buying back up. And now they're just waiting for that pump as it starts to move. I mean, it's pretty simple economics, okay? They used the news in order to create a dump, and then they absolutely sold out everything and then started buying back strategic, okay? That's exactly what happened. Now, where does that leave us? Well, when that happens, people who are investors, they have to make a decision. They don't want to lose money. And guess what happened when they started to sell out? When these people started to sell out, they started to save some of their money, okay? So anybody who had, you know, let's say you had, at the time of this breakdown, let's say you had 20 million tokens, okay? Like I have 20 million tokens. So let's say you had 20 million tokens right about there, then you have about $1,000 worth, right? Well, you start seeing this thing happening, you start seeing it going way down. Now you got 800, now you got 600. Now you're scared. You get the 500 and now you start dumping and now you sell and now you only have 500 instead of 1,000 that you had a few moments before. And then you sold because you wanted to save something rather than risk it all on this dip. Okay, so then what happens? Now you can't buy back in because Wintermute just bought that dip. So now you can only buy back in and get yourself about 8 million, where before you had 20 million because you G'd out of your position, and that can't be fixed. Now, the fact that that can't be fixed means this. It means that Wintermute took the profit off of this and they skipped out and then they started buying back in on the dip, which means that the people who are going to buy back in are only going to take the price up to about the 786 line. And what I'm saying is this move right here has almost completed, but the maximum area that we're probably going to go to is right here at 45, at 4 zeros 45.94. And when we get there, I would suspect that some people who bought down here are going to be motivated to sell into this and then cause another dump down here. And then we're going to have to work a little bit harder to make something good happen. Okay, that is just, look, it's crypto 101. All right. The people who sold lost money. They don't have the same amount of money that they had the day before, so they can't buy back in. And they also lost a little bit of confidence in it. They lost a little confidence in the entire market. And, you know, maybe they're not going to buy back into Luna Classic. Maybe we have to go find some new eyes and new ears to pay attention to Terra Luna Classic. That's speculation at this point. I'm not saying that it is or is not. I'm just saying that, you know, there's a move here that's played out, and now we have to figure out how to recover from that. Now, in the same moment, The same thing happened over here on USTC as well. Again, let me point out, Binance didn't sell. Binance didn't do anything. Binance is not part of Wintermute. Only dum-dums think that. The same thing happened to Luna. Everything collapsed. Everything. And by the way, there's Bitcoin. There's Ethereum. There's BNB. There's Solana. XRP all the way down to $1.58. Link down to $15. SWI, that says 94 cents, and that's overall crypto, but on some exchanges, it went all the way down to 56 cents. Binance specifically went down to 56 cents. Avalanche went down to $17. Are you seeing this? This is absolute insanity here. Near, Near has been near and dear to my heart, and I've been looking for it to have a crazy pump. Well, it had a crazy dump. And by the way, don't forget, a lot of people made a lot of money off of this dump. So now let's talk about where that leaves us. So we look at the trade volume, and the trade volume is 21 million, but it was even higher before. And we look at the same thing over here on USTC, but we don't see that same excitement. What that means is people are not buying back in, not as aggressively as they are clearly on Terra Luna Classic. That's a good sign for Terra Luna Classic long term, but it's not the best of things. Like, again, we got a long way to go before we get some recovery on this. Now, let's go a little bit further here. 378 million got burned. Then we had 174 million get burned. Then we had 110 million get burned. Now, what does that mean? That means that people are moving their money around in their wallets, and they are causing burns, massive amounts of burns to happen. It's a great thing for us overall because we want to see as much burn as possible. Now we're sitting on 733 million over the last bunch of days, and we're going to add 100 million to that. So as far as a burn goes, it's been okay. But as far as price movement, stuff like that, hasn't been okay. However, this is what I want to point out. Nothing fundamentally changes here. We're still good for a 40x from where I said before. I'm still saying that 2027 is probably going to be the very maximum that we're going to hit. That's about 40x away. I'm going to stick with that. I don't think anything has fundamentally changed. I want you guys to understand that this is just the cleansing of the market. Now I want to close this out with this right here as a reminder. One of the crazy things that we haven't seen, but that is happening right now, is that right there. This crazy, crazy bear trap just happened right now. So many people got liquidated. And guess what? That means that most likely what we're looking at is an absolute breakout. And by the way, every time you go back and you look through history, this is what happens to kick off a bear run. You get some massive move where there's a lot of sell pressure, where you get a lot of people getting shaken out, because that's the psychology of the market cycle. If you got shaken out, tough shit, Bubba. If you didn't and you're still holding, have a little faith. You're gonna get a nice big move here. By the way, here's the market on the daily. Here's the massive dip that we just experienced. This is a black swan event, but guess what? We've still got so much higher to go. M2 money supply is still flowing into these markets. So ultimately, that money is still going to come back in. And by the way, it's going to get absolutely crazy as soon as gold stops pumping. And gold is not going to pump forever. At some point, gold will cool off. When it cools off, the rotation will come to Bitcoin, and then it will come to the rest of the market. So it is only a matter of time. I'm not telling you that I'm super bullish, okay? I don't want you to think that just because there's a gigantic dip that I think it's super bullish. What I think is this is getting to the end of the road of normalcy, okay? We just saw an extreme event. Extreme events usually are coupled with other extreme event reversals, okay? This market is not done. The market is not cooked. Why is it not cooked, by the way? It's not cooked because global M2 money supply continues to pump. United States continues to print more money. The world continues to print more money, okay? Now that everybody sees that Donald Trump is not doing anything today until November 1st, then we got one more thing, government shutdown. Okay, now we need to figure out what's going to go with the government shutdown. When the government reopens, we're going to start to get data points. We're going to start to get all the information that we need in order for the rate cut to come this month, for everything to happen. By the way, gas near me, very inexpensive, $2.77 right now, which means that finally the tariffs are really starting to work. But there's still volatility, and we'll still see some volatility. But again, I think we're going to be in pretty good shape here. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. I know this one got a little bit long, but it was a crazy day. So it's not financial advice. I'm always right. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure you share this with your friends.